Hello everyone, and welcome to Horrors Unleashed. Today we are going to be going over some of the creepiest, most disturbing, and downright unexplainable true stories from r/paranormal. Our first story comes from Reddit user PrizeProtection244, who shares a truly mind-bending paranormal experience that changed their perspective on reality and spirituality. I've had many, but this one takes the cake and helped me find a religion. My cousin, friend, and I were around 18 or 19 and were thrill seekers. We would drive to haunted locations and get out of our cars, sit in haunted tunnels, the whole 9 yards. One night we decided to drive over the mountain to a haunted bridge in Lexington, Virginia. We sat there and it was spooky, but nothing happened. We decided to return back home. After we got down our side of the mountain, my cousin asked if we should go to the lake, a beautiful state park with view of the mountains, and take the back roads way home. We all agreed. We parked in front of the lake in a parking lot/landing zone area overlooking the lake with the mountains in the backdrop behind it. This was around 1 a.m. I noticed a green basketball-sized orb deep in the water, illuminating the water around it with a greenish hue. I looked over to my cousin and friend, who were both fixated on it, and then looked back. When I looked back, this orb-like object transfigured itself above water into a bird-like pseudo-angelic being. I can't remember too much about the face, but it was a winged, semi-transparent being. It flapped its wings 2 to 3 times in front of us and then pulled a straight-up Star Wars hyperdrive moment, like when the stars turn into lines, and teleported straight up into the sky, right in front of our eyes. This being had a kind of authoritarian presence to it. We didn't feel threatened by it, but we were absolutely shook. We drove home silent and in shock. The main thing I have a hard time with is the predestination aspect of this. Why did we decide to go down a random back road at 1 a.m. to sit in a parking lot by a lake instead of just going home? The second thing is that I am a logic-driven person. Family is Ivy League educated, and I have a master's in cloud computing. My brain still has a hard time understanding something that there is no human word for to describe. This was very akin to a road to Damascus moment, and broke down any sense of understanding or logic that I believed in to the core. If someone told me they had sexual relations with Bigfoot, I could honestly believe them, because what I saw was crazier than that, and this bothers me deeply. I take solace, however, in the understanding that we as humans will never know or understand everything, and not everything is explainable with our faculties. This event helped me on my path to finding religion, and maybe that was the purpose after all. For Prize Protection 244, this encounter wasn't just creepy, it was life-changing. What makes it so powerful is that it didn't come from someone who was already deeply into the paranormal or looking for a sign. This is someone with a logical mind, educated, grounded in science and technology, and even still, they admit this experience broke down everything they thought they understood. Let's talk about the orb first. Many people who claim to have had paranormal experiences report seeing glowing orbs near water, especially in remote areas. Some believe these are spirits of some kind, or some kind of energy form. It's also believed that bodies of water can act as portals, places where the boundary between our world and whatever's on the other side is thinner. That idea makes this story even more chilling. But what's really wild here is the transformation. It didn't stay an orb. It shapeshifted into a winged angel-like being, something that doesn't follow any known rules of nature or physics. The way it flew off like something out of Star Wars just adds to that sense of, this is not from here. It didn't drift away like a bird, it shot straight up, instantly, like it came from another world. And while it didn't feel threatening, it clearly had a powerful, almost divine presence. Then there's the timing. Why did they randomly decide to go to that lake, on that road, at that exact hour? That's where the idea of predestination comes in. Like they were meant or chosen to witness this. It raises the bigger question. Are some of these encounters designed to wake people up? Or push them towards something bigger? The last paragraph hits especially hard. He basically says, after what I saw, I could believe almost anything. That's how much this experience shook him. And instead of trying to explain it away, he accepted that some things just aren't explainable. That maybe, as humans, we're not meant to understand everything, and that's okay. For this person, the experience became a turning point, and maybe that was the point. Maybe these kinds of encounters don't just scare us, maybe they guide us, in ways we don't realize until much later. If you're enjoying the video so far, please consider liking and subscribing. It helps the channel grow and keeps the stories coming. Now, on to the next one. This next post comes from a Reddit user named Stupid Joan. They share multiple different stories, and honestly, This one reads like a full-on haunted house movie. I have a few. Me and my sisters growing up in our home, we always knew there was a ghost. Going downstairs to do laundry, and the dryer door would be open and slammed shut on its own, that sort of thing. My sister was always mad because the ghost would be stealing her stuff and putting it in other places of the house. She came upstairs and said she kept taking her wallet. She put her wallet on the kitchen table and I asked her what she meant. We looked down and the wallet was gone, and we both went back down to her bedroom and it was sitting on her bed. Those were just little things that happened all the time. One night, my youngest sister came home from work, and me and my second sister were in my bedroom, being warm and cozy in bed, just chatting. We heard my sister come home, and she went to my other sister's room too. Probably wanted to sleep with her after work because it was cold. About 20 minutes go by, and I'm wondering why she hasn't come in to say hi at least. Then she opens the door and says to me, "Move over, Sarah is freezing and not very cuddly tonight." Then Sarah looks at her and says, "What do you mean? I'm right here." Then she said, "What am I cuddling with then?" We all got up out of bed and Scooby-Doo down to the room, turned on the light, and half the bed was made up perfectly and the other half was messy where my sister was. And she said she climbed into bed and saw Caitlin lying there, so she crawled in and cuddled up to spoon her and was playing footsies with her, but she was freezing cold and couldn't warm up, so she came in to snuggle up with me. Yeah, so that one was weird. Same house, I was downstairs watching TV and the phone rang. I answered it and it was from my mom. Like a typical teenager, I put down the phone handle, stood at the bottom of the stairs, and screamed up for my mom to answer the phone. I got back on the phone and waited for her to pick up, and there was no answer, so I told the person to hold on again and went back to the bottom of the stairs. My mom was at the top of the stairs in her nightdress and her glasses, and she was just staring down at me. I looked at her and said, "Mom, the phone is for you. You have to pick it up." She didn't say anything, and she turned around and just went to her room. I went and picked up the phone and there was no answer, so I told the person that I'd run up and get her. As I went up the stairs into her bedroom, frustrated that she wasn't listening, I noticed that there was no one in her room. Then I hear something behind me, and it's my mother coming in the kitchen with bags of groceries, fully dressed. Of course, I'm absolutely confused and said that she was just standing at the top of the stairs and in her nightgown, and with her thick Scottish accent said, "Don't be ridiculous. I just walked in from the grocery store. Help me." Okay. Now this is in my house with children. My partner at the time said that he can hear the kids whispering at night, all at the same time in different rooms. He also said he heard a deep voice talking back to them. I thought he was just being silly and over the top, and probably just heard someone sleep talking. One night I got up to go to the bathroom, and I can hear all the kids talking in different rooms, all at the same time. I thought that was really creepy. When I came out of the bathroom, I can hear another voice talking back to them, like a deep older woman's voice, which of course freaked me out. I played it off, of course, but absolutely sure me and my partner heard the same thing. No idea who the other voice was. My sister was putting up ornaments on the Christmas tree, and she said a big chunk of her hair was taken and pulled up towards the ceiling, and just floated up there for like a minute straight. She pulled it back down, and then got it pulled back up again. She's so used to having a ghost around here, so she didn't really think too much of it, but no thanks. What makes this story so creepy is how casual all the events become. At first, it's small things, a wallet being moved, odd noises, or a door slamming on its own. That's classic poltergeist activity, playful, almost harmless, but still creepy. But the longer it goes on, the more intense and intelligent the activity becomes. Let's start with the wallet. One second it's on the table, and the next it's back in the bedroom. This kind of object moving is one of the most commonly reported signs of a residential spirit, something that lives in the house and interacts with the people in it. But here's the thing, it didn't just move the wallet once. It did it while they were watching. That takes awareness, intent. Then comes one of the most unsettling parts, the wrong sister moment. Imagine crawling into bed thinking you're cuddling with a family member, only to find out they're somewhere else entirely. It's not just scary, it raises a big question. What exactly was she touching? And how was it copying someone they all knew? That starts to cross into the territory of mimicry, something often tied to darker entities. They don't just exist, they pretend. Next is the doppelganger moment, when she sees her mother at the top of the stairs, only to realize her real mother was out at the grocery store the entire time. Stories like this pop up across many cultures. Seeing a double of someone, especially when that person is nowhere nearby, is considered a bad omen in many traditions. But in this case, the fact that the mother didn't speak, just stared, makes it even creepier. Some believe these copies aren't ghosts at all, but something else that's using a familiar face to confuse or scare you. And finally, the whispering. Her partner hears it, she hears it, multiple kids, all in different rooms, all whispering at the same time, and something deeper whispering back. That's not sleep talking, that's coordinated. Paranormal investigators would call that a sign of a spirit trying to communicate, or even control. And yet, despite all of this, they got used to it. That's what makes the story even scarier. The idea that something could be in your home for years, slowly showing itself, and you just learn to live with it. This story comes from the Reddit user Squatch Sounds. I was dead asleep in the middle of the night, once about 5 or 6 years ago. I awoke to a loud bang around 3 a.m. My closet door was swung wide open, and my laundry basket, guitar case, and a few random items that had been leaning against the door were scattered around the floor. My dog was sitting in the middle of the room, staring at the open door. Earlier that same day, and quite a few times afterwards, I would hear voices coming from my basement, sometimes arguing, sometimes just talking. I would frequently find my dog sitting alone in the basement, actually looking happy, as if he was getting some sort of attention. Once I was sitting in my kitchen cooking dinner, I heard my girlfriend at the time, clear as day, say "hey" cheerfully from outside the window. Nobody was there. That also scared my dog. One more story from that house. I have more. Possibly the thing that made me feel the most uncomfortable and startled. I had a small argument with my then girlfriend, and eventually we went to bed. While laying in bed, she had fallen asleep, and I stayed up watching TV. I felt a tug on the blanket that woke me just as I was drifting off to sleep. I laid there thinking I must have imagined it. While laying there awake again, I was hearing a faint, low-pitched grumbling sound. I'm not sure what it was, but eventually, the grumbling became the clear words, "Speak to me." I have no explanation for it, and it hasn't happened again. I absolutely did not speak to it though. I haven't had experiences like that since moving to a new house, but it was a pretty regular thing at that house. My old roommates have a couple of similar experiences there too. I have a couple other weird stories as well, which did not take place in that house. I felt like the weird, unexplained paranormal stuff had a way of finding me for a while, but it seemed to mostly stop by now. Let's start with the first event. The loud bang and the closet door swinging open on its own. That moment, combined with the fact that heavy items had been leaned against it, rules out basic explanations like wind or bad hinges. This kind of sudden movement is a common first sign in haunting stories. It's disruptive and it's designed to get your attention. And the fact that his dog was just staring at it, wide awake and alert, adds another layer. Animals are often said to sense things humans can't. Then there's the basement. Hearing full-on conversations, not just noises, but actual voices, is something that comes up a lot in alleged hauntings. But what's strange here is how the dog reacts. He actually enjoys going down there. That's rare. If there was something evil in the basement, you'd expect the dog to bark or stay away. So what does that mean? Could it be something pretending to be friendly? Just enough to gain trust? The kitchen moment is another red flag. He hears his girlfriend say "hey" cheerfully, but she's not outside. Nobody is. This sounds like what's often called a mimic. Paranormal researchers believe some entities can copy voices or appearances to lure people or just confuse them. The fact that it also scared his dog shows that whatever it was, it felt wrong. Even if the voice sounded cheerful, the energy behind it wasn't. Now for the scariest part, the voice in the bedroom. It starts with something small, a tug on the blanket, and that seems to be the trigger. Then comes a grumbling sound that slowly forms into the words, "Speak to me." And here's where it gets really disturbing. A lot of stories involving paranormal communication, like Ouija boards or seances, begin with something simple. Just a message, a request, "talk to me." The fact that he didn't respond might have protected him, because many believe that responding gives these things permission. And finally, the most important part, the paranormal events mostly stopped when he moved. This tells us something, that whatever was going on might have been tied to the house and not to him. That idea of a location-based haunting is one of the most common explanations for repeated activity, and it seems like whatever energy was attached to that old home stayed behind. But even though the events weren't extreme or violent, they still left an impression. That's how some hauntings work. Not with jump scares, but with a slow buildup that leaves you constantly second-guessing what's real. If you've ever experienced something unexplainable, drop your story in the comments. I read every one of them. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you don't miss the next upload. There's a lot more where this came from. Thank you.